Hello, welcome to the Let's Do It World's Live ahead World Cleanup Day. And today we start our series of lives with our global ambassadors. I'm Farištamo Eller and I will be your host today. The events of the past have proven that time to act together is really now. There is no planet B. We love our planet Earth. So please, let's take care of it. Our aim with these lives is to inspire everyone to join World Cleanup Day by sharing the inspiring stories of people from around the world. And my guest today is Merle, who is an ambassador of oceans and now also ambassador for the World Cleanup Day. And she's also Guinness World Record holder for mermaid swimming. Hello, Merle.
Hi.
You're an ambassador of the oceans. How did you come up with the idea of swimming for the oceans as mermaid?
Well, that actually started because I'm a professional athlete and professional swimmer. And while swimming in the ocean, I start seeing trash everywhere. And while being super passionate as swimming advocate already, I also had a chance to travel to Rio de Janeiro, Brazil as a mermaid. And while being there, teaching kids and adults to swim and kind of teaching the mermaid concept of swimming, I start seeing trash and plastic floating around, and that was just I would say that aha moment where I realized that I can combine two of my passions, what is having a love through water and the clean water, and as well being just a mermaid and teaching everybody how to be a mermaid and how to swim for survival. And while being there in Rio de Janeiro, that was the moment where I actually made a turn in my own life to really start sharing and bringing more attention to oceans and really, paying attention what's happening with our oceans and where the world is actually going and where, all these kind of toxins and pollution are coming in. So that was that was the moment where I actually got my wake up call and kind of knew it that I need to do something more than just being an athlete, just being swimming advocate and just being a mermaid.
Mm-hmm. That sounds quite logical. I have heard of surfers who also surf around the world and they see so much trash and then they start something, whatever they come up with to really help. Have you seen the changes from that time when you started this advocacy? When was it really?
Yeah, I mean, I grew up in Estonia and I moved to Miami about 10 years ago, and I always knew that the ocean is super green and blue, and then there is coral reefs. And I went to Key West at 2011 and I fell in love with the coral reefs. And when I went back 2017 and all the coral reefs were dead, it was like a graveyard. That was the moment when I realized, like, we are heading towards the disaster way faster than I was even thinking. And just constantly, swimming in open water, it just was more clear that this amount of trash what's floating into oceans have been increasing year by year. And not to mention also, today we live in a pandemic world, and this has become not like you collect one bag, by week. It has become a moment where you're picking up trash almost every day and you fulfill your that just by days. So it just was the moment where I was like, wait a second, the changes are not going towards to the better, way. It's actually going more down the hill, because there is more people in the world, there is more plastic in the world, and coral reefs are dying. So definitely these chains have become more clear and visible to see.
Mm-hmm. And have you seen the change, what maybe came from your work? Maybe how people have changed, or some, I don't know, organizations, or did something happen during that time?
Yeah, so last year, Florida faced one of the most disaster, what I can tell you is it was catastrophic event. What happened in Florida? We had a fish kill happening, and same time the ocean oxygen levels went down to 0%. So when we're looking towards to the TV, you saw people under the ventilators, and the same time we have to deal the same thing in the ocean where the oxygen levels were 0%, and somehow we have to save the ocean with the ventilators as well. And when I started showing that to my friends and people who maybe never really thought where the trash is going or what's happening with the fertilizer in their gardens, when I started showing these real, photos and videos, what I took by myself, they start understanding that this is where the change needs to be happening. And this is where we need to really start paying attention more what's happening around our own household and our own planet. And I have so many friends who just recently have been, pointing on my shoulder and telling me like, hey, when are you doing cleanup again? Because I would like to come with you. And as well, I was in just recently in Nicaragua, where they actually changed the law that you're not allowed to throw any plastic or any dynamite inside the ocean, because that's toxins and that kills the fishes as well. And they changed the law that now if you do that, you get the penalty. And just by my every place where I have been traveling, after I became that vocal on my social media, it has been spoken to people, and many people have been, texting me back, thank you for showing me this, because I never knew this can happen, or this is actually happening, that microplastic is in the beach, or that turtles are dying because there is plastic inside of their stomach. So I definitely can say the change has been amazing, and going towards the positive way. But it's just a small change. There has to be bigger change, and especially right now when pandemic is like the whole world is watching pandemic, and kind of being freaked out about how global we are.
Mm-hmm. About that situation right now, this pandemic situation, can we still really care about the environment? Can we do something?
Actually, right now, we have to do more. Right now, when everybody is at home and cooking at home and buying more, we need to pay more attention what are we doing in our houses, how we actually, really use the single-use plastic, and as well, what are we doing with the mask after when we use it. I call that whole situation right now a plastemia, because it's plastic pandemia, and this has been taken over every single aspect in our lives. Like, I have to say that there are more cancellations of trash and recycling happening in US right now than it was before during the pandemic. And that's not a good sign. That means there's no recycling basically happening. And that's quite shocking. I mean, just New York cut down $400 million recycling budget. And same time, we are increasing more and more the plastic use. That is really unbalanced. And the truth is that we all want to move ahead from this deadly virus. But if the humans are not learning right now, I think it's going to circle around longer, because Mother Earth, doesn't want the trash and doesn't want to be treated like that.
Yes, it sounds really bad. But now about the World Cleanup Day. What is your connection with World Cleanup Day, or your experiences, or what have you done in the past, in your past?
Well, when the first World Cleanup Day started at 2008, I was actually traveling, and all my schoolmates were out on that day, and I was really bummed and really sad about it, because I wanted to be part of this history-making World Cleanup Day.
Can I ask you, are you talking about 2008 when it started in Estonia, or 2018?
Yes. The one what started in Estonia.
Okay, so it was in Estonia first. Yes, so it was like Estonian cleanup. I don't know how to say it in English. Yes.
Yeah. And that's actually was the first time when I realized that, wow, like there is this thing called cleanup. And then when I moved to US, I mean, it became, after Rio Olympics, I started doing my own cleanups, because I was like, wait a second, I'm Estonian, and this is what I missed when I was living in Estonia. So I want to kind of continue the tradition. And after kind of seeing that the trash in Miami is like every single beach or park, I realized that we need to start the cleanup, basically every weekend. And when became the day of 2018, and I knew it, we had the World Cleanup Day had a high goals to get as many people as possible out. I was really passionate, and I called, I think, everybody. I even called a friend who knew a senator that time, and we got out so many people, and we were all excited to be part of this movement. And that was also a day when a lot of people who maybe never really bothered themselves to go out and do the cleanup, that was the day when they actually relearn that actually it's a cool thing to do with your friends. And it's also, I call that you are kind of investing to the universal bank account while you're giving back to the world. So more these high level working bosses actually decided to be hands-on and help the oceans that day. And it really started the kind of movement that many people doing those cleanups now more and more, thanks to that 2018 World Cleanup Day movement. And I just feel like I have been part of this organization just because it connects me so many ways, and I'm really humble and flattered that you guys have been choosing me to be the next ambassador.
Thank you so much for being that, and speaking for the need to care and to do what we all can do to take care of the planet. And of course, this is amazing what you do yourself in oceans. You said before, really powerful sentence that you swim in the trash. How would you comment that?
Yeah, I train in a trash to compete in a world level competitions. And that's quite sad on a sense of when we're looking right now Olympics, right? how all these athletes have their journeys. And I actually went to Olympic qualification this year too. Sadly, I didn't make it to the Olympics, but knowing that I have these high goals still internationally, and knowing that one day I might not even have a sport because this trash pollution and toxins are affecting the water. And if they affect the water, then where I'm going to compete. And as well, I have friends who actually have been competing different side of the world, and they say, listen, I can't do open water because the last race what I did, I ended up in a hospital for a week for diarrhea or for some kind of issues what was because the water was contaminated with the toxins, and they had health problems after doing the sport. And that just sadly had become, you know, my situation as well. Like also high temperatures in oceans are affecting athletes. We have had different competitions where athletes are dying because the water is too hot. So it's not really a sustainable way for the sport world. And that is probably why I'm so passionate as well. And just a year ago, I actually learned that there was two different triathletes who were training for high-level Ironman meet, and they were swimming on a river where there was a bacteria what went into their nose and that went to their brain. And that was just a moment where I was like, wait a second, we all are saying like, hey, go and train, connect with the water, you know, water can bring you so much peace, but same time, this water can become our life-threatening place. And yeah, that's really why I feel so passionate about oceans and clean water, and why I feel, you know, it doesn't just affect a mermaid, it affects everybody who wants to just even jump in to, you know, cool off. And that's a sad part of where my sport is heading right now.
Wow, that's really powerful and very, very sad. I kind of know that there is tons of trash in the oceans, but I don't do this kind of sport, so probably this is not something I'm connected in that way. But it is really important that people share these stories to make others understand that the decisions we make, it affects everyone basically. What do you think? How could people find their whys to join World Cleanup Day, or join this kind of thinking where creating trash is not okay?
Well, every single person in this world should understand that we all depend on each other, and we depend on clean air and resources what the world is giving us. And if you are going out there to be part of Cleanup Day, you're actually helping to have a better life for yourself, because you're helping the Mother Earth, you helping the environment and nature. And that way you're gonna have sustainable life, you're gonna have food on your table, and you are not have to be afraid that something around you is full of toxins. But that's why we need to, you know, cut and kind of reduce what are we using every day. So there is not going to be over plastemia situation. And like I said, every single person who wants to live successful life has to give back. And that's the way to start.
That sounds fantastic. Everyone who wants to live successful life has to give back. Thank you for that. Would you share your, I don't know if the most or some really special experience from your time being advocate for oceans?
There are many, but I just love how people, I call that like a light bulb goes on when you are showing them what do you know. I give an example. I was in Jamaica with a sporting event, and there was Hyatt, one of the biggest hotel corporations, and as well there was a Jamaican Environment and Tourist Board on a meeting, and they took us to see the coral reefs with so many other tourists. And my first question was, okay, we are here to see your nature. You're here to show the best of the best. But what about sunblocks? Like, because sunblocks are the major killers for coral reefs. And just the moment when everybody got quiet for my question and asked, wait a second, how I can help, how I, as a Jamaican Tourist Board, can help for oceans to become clean and healthy. And I kind of explained them that, you know, you can use different ingredients for sunblock. And then, of course, everybody kind of jumped on board and said, listen, we have to change maybe the business here. We shouldn't buy all this chemical, full of chemical and full of cancer-making sunblocks. Maybe we should, you know, invent ourselves something what we can sell for the tourists and for the people. And I said, yes, there are ways. It's just you have to take a time to make the change and not always go with the comfortable way. And that was the moment where I felt like I made a change also in higher level, and even big bosses sometimes take a moment to listen to you. And now I know they are working on that sunblock. They are asking me every day what kind of, you know, packaging to use to be more natural, and how to use green energy to produce that. So, you know, just seeing that shift and that excitement to invent something was cool to see, in my opinion, and just knowing that you don't have to be a social media star to make a change. You just have to be a role model, and we need more leaders and more these kind of thinkers who want to invent better things and how to, you know, make it sure that there are ways to reduce the toxins and chemicals. So yeah, I don't know, that was to me emotional when I learned that, and I feel their excitement. So
that really gave me chills. That sounds so cool to really experience these kind of changes. Yeah. A little bit from the other perspective, have you seen also this kind of not wanting to change or kind of fear? And have you then experienced how people overcome it, maybe?
oh yeah, I keep hearing sometimes it's like, oh, that's not my trash, why I should come out, then why I should pick up, or when you are picking up the trash and somebody said, oh, right there is that other, you know, cigarette butts or plastic cans or something. And you know, it also goes like, I had this moment in my life where I realized there are people who don't believe climate change, and how you can have a conversation with them is that you're just calling them out. saying like, hey, you have two hands, I have two hands, together we can make a difference. Because trash is, nobody else put the trash there than human, because nature didn't put the trash there. So when you call them out on that sense, that has been sometimes even successful, because the person is like, oh yeah, you're right, I have two hands, I can do something about it. But I have to say that my really best tool to use is my little mermaid minions. Like I mentioned, I have been swimming advocate, and I have been teaching kids to swim. And the one thing when I teach them is about environment, and as well, they always receive little this mesh bag, what they can take to the beach or to the park, and they can put trash in it, and then they can rewash that mesh bag. But one thing what I have been teaching them is to call out the adults who are trashing your planet. And so often their parents kind of send me messages and notes that, hey, we went to the beach and my girl was so brave enough to go and say to another adult, hey, why are you leaving all your trash behind and leaving the beach? It's not okay. And when the kid is asking that from adult, that's kind of, adult can't like escape that. So it has been a moment where the cleanup has been successful thanks to the kids.
Wow, that's amazing. Thank you for doing that. It's really cool to give kids the tools to make their own world better. I have to say that we are kind of finishing our live. So my last question to you is, what is something you would really like to share?
Well, I would like to see that we are going to break another kind of maybe world record here with the World Cleanup Day on 18 September. And yes, I had 3 different Guinness World Records, but I always tell people you can part of Guinness World Record too. So hopefully September 18, people will join with this moment, will find maybe another new friends and learn more about how they can be successful in this life while helping the mother nature.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, it is like this goal is 5% of the people on the planet. So let's let's do it. Come join World Cleanup Day, of course, by signing up on our webpage, worldcleanupday.org. Thank you, Merle, for joining me here. Thank you, everyone who are watching, and see you soon. And of course, on World Cleanup Day.
Bye.